tue, ça blesse, ça flingue. Hey, hey, hey.
Welcome back to the BME podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. Today we have a special guest on with us. You've probably seen her on Instagram, Threads, YouTube, TikTok, talking sports, but also talking about, hey, fashion, sneakers, but also being mindful of your financial future and not going broke to look fly. None other than Talks with TJ. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for can't wait to get started. Yes, all of those things are absolutely true. And that is the unique angle that I believe I bring to my platform always.
Most definitely. I love that platform because it's like, yo, I know for me growing up, my parents was like, no, we're not spending that amount of money on sneakers and this, that, and third. Same mindset of being frugal, but also still being able to have fun and dress nice and be conscious of, which I'm sure you've seen before, people spend the money and then, oh, I don't have this bill to pay. I don't have that bill to pay. I like the content that you're putting out because there's a lot of people that forget that.
It's a little bit of an oxymoron of the operation of the things that I do. If you were talking fashion or sneakers, just by default, it's going to very like weird how to do them. And so to an extent, you will in some way get caught up in that. I've learned that over the past, you know, like, but there is certainly some self-awareness and discipline and ability to come on your part as the adult situation. And when you are an adult, there's no one to tell you no. I think that's the hardest thing that we really have to grasp, in our own adulthood journey. No one to tell you no. And from what you said, individuals saying, oh, well, mom and dad wouldn't buy me X, Y, or Z. That is the most common reason why people in sneakers are chasing the pairs of sneakers. And I have this conversation with a friend quite often where we will actually talk to each other and say, that's true, but at what point do you then say to that younger you, hey, by the way, you have the means, like you're able to buy the things you want? So, like, you don't have to keep trying to, you're gonna, you can afford it now. Also, mom and dad weren't wrong to say no. Mom and dad understood what it took to run a household, okay? I tell my mom all the time now, I get it.
1,000%, especially having kids myself now. It's like, oh, okay. I understand. Not that I didn't understand it back then, but I understand fully when you talking about a light bill and a mortgage. And yeah, the newest sneakers may not be in their budget, possibly.
Listen, that $200 that you want for that retro, they just went up on this insurance. These premiums just went up. So us not paying that, us not buying you that extra shoe that you don't need, that's because we're trying to make sure everything is actually good and golden. If you got to run to the doctor, we're trying to make sure you're set. Like you can't be driving around uninsured on the road. So as you get into adulthood, I believe, like when they say, when you get older, you'll understand. Is one of my favorite movies. The Bronx Bill said, yes, as I got older, I was 100%.
1,000% right there. So I want to start with this, right? Because I know you're a WNBA fan. The schedules have been released and announced. What was your favorite schedule release? Even though it's kind of weird you dropping a schedule and y'all haven't paid the players, but I mean, hopefully they get that done.
You know what? I thought, and I definitely put this out on threads, I thought beautiful gowns. For the mere fact that we have no CBS. So beautiful gowns for the creativity that comes from within these franchises. Because you can tell that these teams are going above and beyond to not only put out something exciting, but something that will connect with their individual fan base. I think Atlanta Dream, I think they do this, I mean, in such a masterful way. They did it the same way last year. It was like the cookout. And I love that. So seeing them, do it this year, and they had so many little nuances, right? Just in terms of like even the misfits, where they fell and things like that. So I think Atlanta Dream, I think they always really connect with just the culture of Atlanta. I have to give a shout out to Mercury because it was just so cute. Like the little graphics were the absolute cutest thing ever. Have to give a shout out to them. I have to laugh at my aces because we absolutely were like, listen, we're here, so y'all don't even have a TV yet. So we showed up because Mark and Nikki said we had to show up. So it's interesting, but yeah, just like even my team being the Aces, but there are so many rollouts that I really did appreciate, and so I love it. Like we get to see so much again creativity from within these teams, but then it does go back to hey, a lot of excitement. Do we have a season? And I understand the pragmatic reason behind them needing to secure the dates, secure the venues, because they have to have these contingencies in place. If we do have an agreement on both sides of the CBA, everybody is going to hit the ground running. Full force ahead for organization, for city planning, everything. So I get it. I think it just sometimes is confusing, and I get it and frustrating to fans because we don't even know if this season will occur, when will it occur, especially with it being moved up to May 8th and May 9th now as a start. Like my concern is still on the rookies that will make these really deep tournament runs with their college teams, and then they're going to step right from that court right into the draft, right into camp, and it's such a condensed schedule. The heightened risk of injuries has been one of my biggest concerns, and it doesn't look like they're really going to do anything to curb that. So let's fingers crossed everybody is healthy as we start this 2026 season, whenever that.
Yeah, it's a lot that comes with that, because looking at, like you said, a player like Ozzy Fudd, who's probably going to have a deep playoff run. I've always said that's the wildest thing to me. Like when I got older and realized, like, wait, hold up, she just played in the finals and she's at practice next week. She's at training camp next week. She had to go back and finish her degree because she wasn't able to walk. Like all those type of things, I don't think a lot of people think about and factor in when it comes to the W, is like that turnaround time. And
Mm.
then we're having 44 game season, injuries. That's the biggest concern. We're like, all right, of course we want to have a season. Of course we want to see the players. Of course I want to see, I'm an Aces fan too. I want to see the Aces run it back again, get another title, but at what cost? Like you said, they're gonna have to hit the ground running because they still haven't came to an agreement. So
No, there's no agreement. Like you said, if you are a brand new fan to the WNBA, I often see it. They are shell shocked at that very condensed window for a player to be in their senior season and to immediately go from, let's say I make it to the Elite Eight, Final Four, I'm in the championship. There's barely time to clean out your locker or even the apartment that you're in on campus, whatever campus housing is, because you have to have, everybody else figure out based on where you're drafted, getting your things set up so you're moved in because you don't have time. You're trying to acclimate to the bigger, faster, stronger pace of the WNBA in camp. And, we see injury after injury. Like, I'm still sick about Georgia Amore. Like, I wanted to see her so badly play. And we saw that, Cam got hurt not too long after starting her rookie season. So it's really tough. And I question all the time, what is the ACL even for? It is the weakest link. It is the weakest link time and time again. And there's so much nuance to female athletes and our bodies as women and our menstrual cycles and how that plays a part in the susceptibility we have to tearing these ligaments during that time. But it's like realistically, we can't stop play, right? Like I personally, I don't stop lifting, I don't stop running or doing anything in the gym during that time. Some women do have to alter everything that they do during that week, which is just it's ridiculous. Like being a woman is just an uphill battle, I swear, your own body. But I think, I want the research behind ACL injuries. We need to be more proactive and preventative in what we can do to keep these athletes on the court. And, some of that does just come from wear and tear. The fact that these athletes start at really young ages, you're playing AAU circuits or even, USA circuits, depending on the different age ranges, then it's just nonstop go. And that's why I think it is great when you have these athletes that are diversified in the sports that they play because different movement patterns. So you give your body a break maybe from the exact same things you're doing in basketball all the time. They can play volleyball, they can do track, they can do soccer. I'm hoping that we just have less injuries, but it was an up last year and it was insane.
Most definitely, because a lot of people don't factor that in. I have three sisters. I have a wife. Everybody is different with how that menstrual cycle hit. Some, like you said, it's so debilitating. They can't go to work. They can't do regular things. So I always watch it looking back like, hold up. You done got the chip on the menstrual cycle? Hold up. You just had a
Listen, listen.
baby? You just had a baby and you back in 2 months? Hey, tip my hat to y'all. It's not it's not something that I've said all the time to my wife and some of my friends. God did a great job by making me a male. If I had to be a female, I don't want none
It,
of that.
listen, it is when I see like you tell people say like, oh, like she snapped back. No, when you see Steve still have this insane endurance on the court after her daughter, when you see the way Skylar Diggins is like all over the place on both sides, and I'm like, you don't have any kids? Oh, okay. So real life superheroes that are just walking around. That was the exact same thing that we've seen in other sports with, athletes like Allison Felix. So women are truly forces of nature. Most times we feel like the eighth wonder of the world. So yeah, it's as much as we are able to overcome. There are still certain things that those injuries happen, and they are always the worst things in sports. So if they could work towards again preventative measurements, that would be great just for the game overall. Like nobody wins when the stars are injured because it just takes away from the product on the court, and the product has always been great on the court. That's never been the problem. The problem has been, of course, we need ownership, you need administration, you need everybody to invest in and not bet on the play.
Hey, this could really be this entire episode and just going in talking about it because to your point mentioning with that too, like being an Aces fan, seeing how the Aces ran the organization and finding out most teams don't run it like the Aces, don't have their own practice facilities, don't have these things. Reading articles that WNBA teams are practicing at middle schools or at high schools and don't have access to this. They have kids, they don't have childcare. Like it's a lot that goes on behind the scenes of the W where people don't understand or may not know if you don't do your research and are a student of the game, but also the aspect of looking at it from the outside looking in, it's like, yo, for the W to be in a position, those that are of leadership and kind of not trying to do whatever you can to make your partners, because they're your partners in the business, happy when we're talking about can I just have somewhere I can have childcare to change my child? Could that be a thing? I don't want to have to put my child on the floor in a bathroom to change my child. That maybe that's asking a little bit too much, I guess.
The bare minimum is being requested. Like that's it. To me, it's just so often the bare minimum of how you would treat a professional athlete, and we'll often see it where women's players will counter their male counterparts, and they'll tell them like, "Oh, that must be nice," because that would never even be something that we would be awarded. Like the pension and the health care, and it's just for some owners, like you said, when it comes to Mark, when it comes to Josiah, when it comes to how Phoenix is investing in their team, how Seattle has invested in their team with their arenas and just everything they're offering the players. It's like, here are the standards, right? Golden State came in and they set the standard, I feel like, of what these expansion franchises should bring to the table. It better be a total investment, not a single doubt in my mind that you are there behind these players. You're equipping them with everything they need, where their only focus should be on that court. It truly should not be anything else. And I think that's one reason why fans appreciate Unrivaled so much, because it feels like these players play a little bit freer because there are things they're not having to worry about. You have the housing, you have the facilities, you have the child care, you have the support. And I think it's because, again, it's for the players, by the players. You have actual players and leaders in C and Stewie putting out what players deserve. And so it's a really great blueprint. No, it's not meant to be the WNBA, but it's a really great blueprint of what you could have. And so it's like usher that in, have that same energy for the W across the board. It should not be a regression in what I'm being offered when I'm leaving a blue chip program in college of the SEC or the Big Ten or the ACC. It shouldn't be, a regression once I become a pro. Like I should be at that same level. I should be above that, quite frankly. So they have work cut out for them. I think they know they're under a microscope, and I think a lot of fans are not. A lot, not all, but a lot of us are not buying into the manipulation tactics that we'll see, and how they're trying to throw out certain numbers. Even though if you're a knowledgeable fan, you know that they don't. The NBA doesn't open the book, so it's not as if you know the numbers. I don't know the numbers, and they don't get to know the numbers. So when the league decides to throw out these arbitrary numbers, it's like, well, we know the truth behind it. But if you just throw out really big numbers, then casual fans who aren't aware of what's going on, they'll just think, oh, well, clearly you guys just aren't taking what's being offered, and it seems much more reasonable than what you had. And it's like, housing is being stripped. Oh, by the way, it looks as if we're going to draft players while they're in the Final Four almost, of when you want camp to start. So not like it's one of those things where on paper a job may offer you a little bit more until you really dig into the fine print, and it's like, oh, actually, you're being stripped of the very benefits that would make it all worthwhile. And so you got to know what to give and what to.
Most definitely, for sure. I want to go back to the beginning. When you started talks with TJ, what was the original inspiration and motivation behind that?
So funny enough, it was not Talks with TJ. So Talks with TJ was like I revamped the entire channel in 2018, like April of 2018. But originally it was Fat to Fit Finance. So it was strictly finance. There was no fashion, there was no sneakers or anything in it. My entire thought process was thinking of, again, you being in the red with debt and kind of not being in a place, like whether it be financially or fitness wise where you want it to be, and then you transitioning that to being in the black with your money and just being in a healthier place overall. And so that's what it began as. It was just strictly fitness content. And I sometimes think like I should have continued on with that maybe in a different way and restarted the channel. But I revamped it in 2018 because I would get questions all the time from people that were around my age or friends where they're like, you take care of your needs and you're still shopping, but you don't seem stressed about it. And I'm over here stressing all the time. I feel like I can't ever go and, do even a little something for myself. So, how is this even possible? And one of the women I would always have this conversation with, I'll never forget Alexandria, and she was like, I wrote a budgeting ebook in 2017. I think I put it out in 2018, and or right at the end of 2017 maybe. And I did that because I just felt a lot of the information wasn't out there the way it needed to be. So like I've never charged for that ebook. It's free. Like it's pinned right now on my Threads account, and it's free. And then she was like, "Well, you're really good on camera and articulating yourself. Why not just get up and also talk about it on video and give that a try?" And I thought, like, you know what? I could have conversations about how I'm able to manage money, how I look at it from my perspective of taking care of those needs and those non-negotiable expenses first, but making room for the things you really want to have fun for and enjoy. And the fact that you can find harmony, that harmony for me is going to look vastly different than it does for you, because our lifestyles will not be a one-to-one. I don't care who it is. Even if somebody's life on paper looks the same, it's still not going to be the same. But finding that harmony for yourself, like there's a blueprint, there's a template that you can kind of follow. And so I decided, you know what, I'll put that out there and share that, because it was also something missing. I felt like in the space, I would watch tons of YouTubers, and you see a lot of content around sneaker shopping, and you would see these vast walls of sneakers, right? And so many people still to this day, they're like, that's my goal. That was my goal. It's not my goal anymore. That was my goal too. Like, I want floor to ceiling sneakers. But it's like, there's a sensible way for you to go about that. You could just taste it and try to go get it. And I know a lot of 20-year-olds want to taste and go get it, but they're trying to taste and go get what a 35-year-old, established individual in their career, possibly in a two-income household, is able to afford. And it's like, one, you're trying to sprint to something that may have taken them a while to get. you also don't want to sprint to that and do it based on 25% interest on credit card debt. And so there were so many different nuances that I felt like weren't being talked about because money is so taboo in the United States. And I thought, okay, I can bring this to the table because I love talking about personal finance, economics in general, and sneakers and fashion. So it's like a seamless conversation for me to have, and it wasn't being had. And so 2018 revamped it, and it's kind of gone on from there. And then I've documented different journeys of myself throughout that time, whether it's, amassing a big amount of sneakers and connecting with brands and then deciding, hey, interest is paused. I'm going to pay down my student loans aggressively and I'm going to pay off a car and showcasing that. And then also, making the decision to pull back more on shopping because I just feel like I've reached a limit where that's not what I want anymore. So it's all been documented, but it started just with finance, like not even with fashion.
I think that's great, especially being that it was a rebrand and that wasn't an original thing. And for those that don't know, when you go check out the page, the rebrand did a great job. The page is doing very well. And as you said, it is something that is taboo in the USA for some reason, which it shouldn't be. We see a lot of times that a lot of stuff is not taught in schools. So it's stuff that you have to learn later on by yourself. So very, very, very important, vital information. And I think it's dope that you're doing it, mixing in with the aspect of the fashion aspect and the importance of that. The other part I wanted to ask too is like, what do you feel is a common financial mistake that people make from what you've seen? And like you said, I think what's great is what you said is the aspect of it's not one to one. You have to watch my content, meaning yours or others, and tailor it to your specific situation. You may not be able to do what TJ's doing. Figure out what you can do.
And listen, even to that point, like I try to remind people, they would be like, "Oh, I wish." Because there was a point in time where I would buy tons of your guide essentials, let's say 2020 through 2022, and people would be like, "Man, I wish I could, get this drop or go after this or go after that." And I'm like, "You have to be mindful. My situation is likely not yours. Okay, I choose to rent and not have a home, which means there are tons of home repairs I will never have to deal with. You, as a homeowner, have to have a whole fund there. One, because everything is going to break at once and there's nothing you can do to control it. Two, you got to replace the roof in about 10 to 12 years. So you got to have a fund set aside just for that every month that you're adding towards. Regular maintenance. Also, I don't have children. So that changes everything. You may have to worry about infant child care, which is like $2,000 a month until they're, able to actually go into pre-K or into daycare. I will never have that expense. And now it's also, explaining I don't have student loan debt anymore because I paid that off and I've never had credit card debt. And so there are different nuances. Like if you're someone and you have a lot of, medical expenses you incur all of the time, that's different. Like your situation is different. The leeway you have in your disposable income is always going to look different. And you're never going to know someone's full situation based on just what you see online. That is one thing I wish I wish people understood. What you see is what people want you to see. Like that's it. It's what they want you to see, rightfully so. But also don't think like, oh, well, they're able to do this and I should be able to do that. And it's like, no, you should be able to do the things that are within, your power or your control to be able to do. And so I would say that the common mistake I see people make is they are giving in to every desire just because maybe they have the ability to be able to do it at the moment. And it's based on everybody else doing it around them too. Like you chasing, and I did a video about this. I don't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago, but it was like, hey, why buying 3 to 5 sneakers every month seems normal? It's because everyone else around you is doing the exact same thing. And so you may start to think that, oh, well, it's just normal to continue to give in to every desire I want or to give in just because I like a shoe or I like a jacket. It doesn't matter what it is. And I kind of challenge people to think, okay, well, yeah, that is normal. But there are a lot of other things that are also normal, right? It's normal within sneakers, awkwardly, to have shoes that are dead stock for years. But yet you just got to have that 300th pair. And you have no idea when you're going to wear it, knowing that these pairs have a propensity to crumble after a while, depending on what they're made of. So it's like you are knowingly taking that risk pragmatic. Like if we're looking at it from a pragmatic perspective, that's not making a lot of sense. It's normal for households to have $6,000 to $8,000 worth of credit card interest. So at some point, these circles are overlapping of you chasing sneakers and the credit card debt in this country. At some point, the circles overlap, including some of you that are doing that. And so it's like also it's normal for individuals to know that they don't have the space for something, but to keep buying and keep buying and keep buying. So now the American way is, well, I'll buy a bigger house with more overhead and higher property taxes to hold more stuff that I'm not going to use and I'm not going to wear, but I have it. And somehow it makes me feel better inside. And it's like, maybe start to challenge what is normal and challenge the whole affordability thing. Because what we think of as affordable these days is, oh, well, I can just swipe my card, so I can afford it. And it's like, you affording the minimum payment on your credit card, at least to me, is not affording it. Like, it's not. If you can pay that bill in full every month, you're golden. You're going to reap the benefits of credit card rewards. You'll get to fly on a discount, and you'll use it to your advantage. But if you're not looking at it from that way, you are paying for shoes, quite possibly paying interest on shoes you don't even care about anymore. You threw that pair in the back of your closet. You don't care about it anymore because your dopamine has moved on to whatever the next few releases are. And so it's like, learn to challenge what's normal. Just because it's being done and it's normal doesn't mean that it makes sense, even though I catch so much these days. Like, I put myself in the line of fire in the last, 2 years in such a big way.
I think that's the title of this episode. Challenge what is normal. I mean, just because everybody is doing it. It's an old saying. I'm sure you've heard it and you've heard your parents or somebody say it. If everybody's jumping off the bridge, does that mean you jump off too?
Do you just follow them off?
Exactly. Now, there might be some people that's jumping off the bridge that are doing it because they're skydiving. And then there's others that may not be doing it for that reason. Same with the sneakers. There's some that actually can afford it. And there's some that can't afford it, but they want to get it now. And I think one of the things that also kind of has impacted this country, because I don't know if it's globally or not, but when you have the option to see those sneakers and you could put it on one of those payment plans, even if you don't have it, you split it out between 4 payments. Yeah, I think that factors in a lot of what people do. Sneakers and everything in general, because I see it now with flights, hotels. You could even use it sometimes for groceries. Hey, I want steak tonight. Can't afford it, but let's spread it out through 4 payments.
It's so, one, buy now, pay later is the epitome of instant gratification. Because I don't want to wait until I can afford it. I want it right now, and I don't care that I can't technically pay in full for it. I want it right now. And people liken that to, oh, well, we had layaway back in the day. You're right, we did, because my mom would use layaway at a certain time, right? I remember it was Kmart, and I remember when I worked at Kids Foot Locker, we had a layaway plan. You know what happened with layaway? You paid a percentage initially when you picked out the item, and we put that item to the side, and you had to continue to make payments until it was paid in full, and then you could get the item. And back in the day, people realized by the time they got to that final payment, they didn't even want the item anymore. Because if you put some separation and distance between you and the item, put some separation between you and the dopamine for a second, you may realize you really don't want it like you think you want it. And that was the benefit of layaway. You could get to the end and be like, I don't even like what that will look like on me anymore. So I'm going to actually return it right now. You can return me all the money I paid to you and go. But there's delayed gratification. You got the item once you paid in full. That's not what it is anymore. We are instantly giving people what they want and not understanding paying for adds up very quickly because your brain doesn't register $25, $10, $15, the same as it does a $60 charge at once, a $225 charge at once. So you couldn't pay $225 that day, let's say on that sneaker, but you've broken it up into 4 payments. Well, then that makes maybe, I don't know, clothing that was in that same store a little bit more enticing. I think I can afford it. So now we got this $50 payment, that $25 payment, this $50 payment, and this $25 one, because who knows what else you spent. You don't even realize you've now gotten up to that $225 you claimed you couldn't spend in the first place. And oh, that's coming out every few weeks. Like, it's all going to add up. And heaven forbid you get behind, you lose your job, like, and you can't make those recurring payments. So now, because they are reporting to credit bureaus, guess what? It is going to now affect your score. So many people were freely using these services because it wasn't going to affect their score because they weren't reporting to the bureaus. Now they are. So it's like you either learn some self-control, you learn self-awareness of what you can and you can't afford, or you're going to fall into it's just going to be a similar trap. Like, that's a really big bubble that's eventually going to burst as well. And it's going to be catastrophic when it does happen, because yes, people are going on cruises and they're booking flights. And mind you, these are things that they want to do. These aren't needs. These are just things that they want to do. Now, for the people that unfortunately have to buy medicine for their kids or groceries on this, they're in just tight situations based on the economy, based on their low income, where they know that they can't, but it's like, I can't not buy food. I can't not get medication for my kid. So when those services are in place, I get it, and I'm much more lenient there. But there are individuals that are just using it as a way to get whatever they want in the moment. And I think it's just going to come back to bite a lot of individuals because, again, heaven forbid, you can't foresee the future. You lose your job. You have how many outstanding buy now, pay later payments out there? And so it's like, what exactly you do? What position have you put yourself in? And you can't see that. So err on the side of caution of not having, leveraged debt that could come back to kind of bite you. So, yeah, but I'm like also the bad. I'm like I'm the bad person. I'm the bad cop. It's not well received. Let me tell you, it's not well received if you start talking about buy now, pay later.
Well, I guess we'll see the response when this when this drops. I'm of the same mindset because like it's times like you said where circumstances put you in that position where you have to do it. The thing is, it's the same thing like when you have a credit card, like you said, you have to be mindful that I'm gonna make sure that I'm paying this. You can't afford to miss these payments, and you don't know what the future's going to happen, but you can't afford to miss these payments. And some of those buy now things is actually buy now, pay later. Actually, you end up paying more because they have interest on the back and like, hey, your sneakers cost $225. We need you to put down 60 today. We're gonna give you 4 payments, and it ends up being another $5-10 extra on top because they got to get their money from it too. So it's like I don't know if it's the best decision sometimes. If you can wait, you should probably wait just because it could, like you said, they're telling your credit reporters now. So you don't pay for those sneakers because when it first happened, people was just doing it. It's like, who are they going to tell? I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to pay. Now it's showing up on your credit report. And now your credit score is being hurt because you didn't pay on those sneakers that you said you was going to pay, but you got it. So you happy. You got the sneakers on. It's in your closet, but your credit score is jacked up. So it may not be well received, but those that have that financial discipline is understood. So it's for a certain market of people will appreciate.
That's what I've had. Listen, that's what I've had to learn. I'm like, everything that I say, it will not be for everyone, and that's okay. I actively encourage every viewer to go seek out the content that is for you. And you're going to know if it's for you within the first few minutes of listening to it. And if it's not for you, there are thousands, possibly millions of creators out there that are going to give you exactly what you want. And I advocate for you to go support my peers and go watch them.
Most definitely for you, right? What's one sneaker drop that changed the game for you personally?
So there were probably like 3 big ones. One more recent, but I think that's like sentimental reasons. So the first one was actually 2000 when the Jordan 11 Concord came out then, because that was like the awe moment, like the shock and awe moment for me. And seeing that sneaker, family friend, she had them, purchased for her by her family. And I remember just seeing it in her hand and I'm like that set it off. At that point, it was caring about the drops, being so diligent and flipping through East Bay. Mind you, I don't know who I thought I was, tagging all these pages on East Bay as if my mom was buy everything. But like I had the tabs on there, the sizes, the color. I had it. I would like place it on the kitchen table as if that was supposed to do anything for me. But like that's when I like locked in. Like after seeing the Concord, I was like, oh, okay, like a whole switch flip. And then when I finally had the money and the means to buy like my own shoe, because I was still bugging my mom. Like when Iverson shoe came out, I was like, Mom, listen, I need you to go to the store and you're gonna ask the people for the Iverson that has his face in the sole of the shoe. That's all you need to know. Just ask them that question. I need it in white and silver. And that was it. I was like, she's like, this is going to be the only thing you get for your birthday. That's fine. That's all I want for my birthday. I don't want anything else. Just make sure I have the answers. That's all I care about. And so then when I was able to spend my own money from refereeing, that was my first job ever, I bought the Jordan 17 copper. I'll never forget. I went with a friend and a teammate and her mom. We were holiday shopping, so sales and things were going on. And I saw that pair and I just instantly fell in love. I was like, this is my first Jordan pickup for myself. So like I grew up in the 16, 17, 18 era, really. Those were like the big moments where I could really kind of develop my own style with shoes. And then I would say beyond that, seeing the A1 come out because it was just such a fight to want the biggest brand to acknowledge and celebrate and invest in a black woman. Look at 20 some plus years since they had done it with a Cheryl Swoop. So when the A1 finally dropped, it was just like the biggest sigh. It was like an ancestral sigh to see that come out, to see what it's meant to everyone. Nice Kicks, they actually, she received 2 awards then, and to know that the A2 is on its way out and Nike is fully behind her. So I would say, yeah, those were 3 really important pairs over time. There are a lot of pairs that I've cared about, but looking back, like those were the monumental ones. Like the one that kind of got me hooked, the pair that I bought, myself first with my own money, and then, my favorite player being able to get her own shoe.
A lot of those, everything you just said, all great sneakers, great options. I remember the answers. I wanted those pairs too. I loved it. I was a 5'10" guard. I had the sleeve, the arm sleeve. I eventually end up, I have 24 tattoos. Like I wanted I wanted those. I tried to convince my mom to let me get cornrows, but she didn't want me to let me do it. So this is part of why, as I got older, I grow my hair out, go get braided. AI was very, very, very impactful and influential to a lot of childhoods growing up. And of course,
Man,
Asia Wilson, like, I'm just excited and happy that it actually happened. Like you said, it was like, it seemed as if it was a struggle to have to get them to do so. And now that it's finally here, and they did a good job with it as well. Because we've
yeah.
seen some logos, some sneakers drop, and they like, mm, that's what y'all had a meeting about, and y'all said, yeah, this is it. This was the green light. Wow.
the,
Okay.
on, the ongoing conversation with teachers all the time of who was in the room. And there are so many times where we think one of us could not have been in the room, or you took all decision making power away from us in the room. So when we saw everything roll out from Asia and Nike basketball, we were like, oh, we were in the room. We were leading the conversations. We were in the director's chairs. Like we were doing so much so that this was truly authentic to her in every single way. So I love it. And like to your point, listen, like the younger kids don't even know this. AI made finger sleeves a thing. Like I had a whole finger sleeve on that had I3 on it. I had everything. I had the armband. I had the headband. I had a 76ers throwback shooting shirt. Like there was nothing you could tell me mind you, I was so small and just skinny and undersized then. So everything was massive on me and I didn't care. My mom's like, the men's small is going to swallow you. I don't care, mom. I don't care. I don't care. What I need you to understand is it says Philadelphia across the front. What I need you to do is just go get it. Let's not ask any further questions. I want all of the accessories. Thankfully, she would braid my hair because my mom does hair. So I was able to go, you see Iverson on TV? Let's pay attention because this is what I want before my game this week. I do the same thing with her and Alicia Keys. Did we pay attention to her hair in this performance? This is what I want before I step on the court. And so that was my full moment. She didn't braid my hair like on the bench or anything. It was beforehand at home. But yeah, I would bug my mom about everything. Allen Iverson, Jason Kidd, growing up. The other was funny. A few was it like a year ago? She's like, "Hey, Diana Taurasi is still playing," because all she knew was I wanted to watch DC on TV. That's all she knew at the time. So yeah, it was everything that like what we see with like the cultural significance of Asia and her asymmetric height and how that's carried over clearly from Flojo very much so back in the day. But when you see like modern day in her sparking that trend and seeing so many women seeing it catch on, you see women soccer players wearing it. It's like I want young adults to understand this is what it was like for us with like AI, like only AI that we know. This is what it was like for us. Very similar to Skylar Diggins and her headbands. Like that became a thing. If you wanted to be a guard like her, you wanted to have that kind of dog mentality on the court, then you wore the same headband that Skylar did. So we're in an era where like that significance that she has, like that can't be.
Hey, I know you say you see it on the women's side, but I even see it on the men's side, rocking the one sleeve. I'm at league games like, hold up. Oh, y'all Asia fans too? All right, cool, bet.
They respect me.
Okay, Asia, I see you. I see you. Even that time when she was on the Jennifer Hudson show, and it was a kid that came on the show and he was,
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to meet Asia. I'm like, man, you can't tell me.
We didn't even know men's players were like a thing. The only thing he knew was Asia Wilson, which was the cutest thing ever. Like all he knew was Asia. And I was like, you know what? That's the energy to have.
Starting him off right. So I think that's dope. And she's one of, you can't even debate it, one of the most influential all time, I feel, in the W. And that's part of, the era that we live in, because I imagine if the Cheryl Swoops of the world, the Lisa Leslies of the world, DT when she first started off her career, even the Tamika Catchings, Cappy Pondexter, if they was in this era, Lord, imagine.
I even think now, like not even going that far back, what would NIL have been for Skylar Diggins in that headband?
She got a bag. She would be.
Like,
she would have
the bag would have been heavy.
Scholar would have been set before she even touched the court of a WNBA game. If they was a part of, like you said, the NIL era. Good Lord. Like some of these schools should be cutting checks just off the respect factor of like, hey, when you was here, you did bring a lot of revenue and other players to come here to our university. So
this is just our retribution. This is just our thank you for many years ago.
yeah, I want the school to do that. Reach out to the forward play like, hey, so we know you weren't part of the NIL, but we appreciate all you did. So we gonna cut you a check. Just out the kindness.
We can sponsor a few appearances. Like, you can talk to the kids real quick.
Most definitely. So I see in the background you got a vinyl jersey. You're definitely, you mentioned it earlier in the episode, Unrivaled. You have one on right now. With Unrivaled, right? How do you feel it's impacting the culture and the game of basketball on and off the court, especially even now? We're in year 2 now of Unrivaled, and I've said it from jump, and it was a weird, perspective that Kathy had in that press conference, as if like they're competing. Like, no, you should be learning from Unrivaled because your players are these are the happiest we've seen some of the players. Natasha Cloud and everybody is like, yo, this is I've never even experienced anything like this. And I've been in the league for 8 years.
And it feels like the league hasn't, like, it really does. Unfortunately, it does feel like these players are being able to experience what it's like to be fully believed in, invested in, but also cared about as individuals, not just as a pawn on the court that's going to earn me money, but looked at as a partner. Like you said, why aren't you seeking to make your partners happy? And I think you can tell that's what Fee and Stewie set out to do. It's like they looked at every perceived gap that was present in the league and said, how do we bring that up? You know, how do we make sure that's not a pretty much a hole in our game here when it comes to what these players are receiving? And the big thing for me, it's the marketability that you see across the league. Like all too often, and Paige is known for calling this out, where media will hyper focus on one individual, one player, one storyline. And it's such a detriment to the game because you have endless storylines. These players are all extremely unique in their own way. They're bringing something different, not only to the court, but then also just, again, as individuals, as women. And that's part of society, I think, and boxing women into whatever it would like that woman to be seen as or known as. I think women see this quite often when they're just seen as a wife, they're just seen as a mother. They're not seen as being a whole individual first. So I think the marketability with Unrivaled, it's not honing in on one player. They don't even hone in on just the co-founders, which is what I love. People get signed across the board when you look at, you know, the deeper respect and I think just learning about Jordan Canada and her singing. When you're able to look at Ryan Howard and her art, like how artistic she is. Go even further. Now, people clearly know. They're like, listen, just get Skylar on the mic. Like as soon as she's done playing and she chooses to walk away, analysts right there, put her on all the important games. Mind you, she's already won an Emmy for that, I believe. But it's like, put her on the mic. We're able to see Aaliyah Boston, you know, test her skill and proficiency on the mic because I think she's analyzed for the Big Ten when she's in her off season. And then we saw Sabrina Ionescu. She's not playing right now due to injury, but she still came back to analyze. And like, who better to analyze the game? We see that across the board with all sports. Having athletes actually talk about the game that they know, it's more authentic. We're learning the little nuances and the ins and outs we wouldn't think about. But they play this game and they play against these players, so they know that. These are things we don't even know. Like you'll see so many individuals go, I didn't know so and so had such a personality. Like Azura Stevens, I didn't know she was that fun. I didn't know she was at this. That's right, you don't, because we don't find out any of that, unfortunately, in the WNBA. There are a few stars they hone in on sometimes, and that's it. And so with Unrivaled, you're being able to see these women as individuals first, just as people. And then you're able to understand them as players. Each of these ball clubs, they all have their own, you know, personalities, young and turn. So they all have their personalities, and you're just able to appreciate them a little bit more just as people. That's what I love about it. And, you know, pouring into them as people, you see it on the court. You know, again, they play freer. It's extremely competitive still. People are seeing it like, oh, well, it's not 5-on-5. It's not meant to be 5-on-5. Let's put our thinking caps on here. It's not meant to be 5-on-5. It is 3-on-3. And in 3-on-3, some things are exposed. Like Alicia Kay said, I'm trying to be the exposer. I don't want to get exposed, okay? And you will get exposed. If you care about me as an individual, don't ever put me on Point God Island, okay? If you are watching this and you care about me as a person, you would never put me on Point God Island, because it just tells me that you care nothing about my well-being and you just want me to get embarrassed in front of a whole arena. And you're just going to laugh at me. What am I going to do? What exactly do I do against Chelsea Gray? Like hope and pray she has an off night in 3-on-3? That's exactly what it feels like. So, yep, individuals will get exposed because sometimes you can't recover back fast enough. There is no help side defense. So you either move your feet, you understand body control, or you get blown by. And, you've got to get it back on the other end. If you don't know how to defend a midi, well, good luck guarding Paige. I mean, like, thoughts and prayers at this point. Like, and just understand that, Tanaya is probably going to block at least like 4 of your shots, like during the season. And you're just going to have to suck that up, even though she's like not as tall as these bigs. Her athleticism is crazy. Like, all of these players are being highlighted in really special ways. And I think you see them carry that on into their actual 5-on-5 in their W season. Some of them have a little bit of a tough adjustment going back to 5-on-5 because I think AT said that. I think Alyssa Thomas did say that it was a little bit of an adjustment going back to 5-on-5. And I can totally see that. But when I think about like pace of play, the endurance, the conditioning you have, like, Kelsey Plum does well because this is all Kelsey Plum does during the regular season. She just runs around a road runner. So she is happy in her element right now. And what I'm hoping is that this gives us a bigger 3-on-3 pool for the Olympics, so we can, enjoy that. Like, I selfishly want, I want Leash to make that transition to the 5-on-5 team because her chemistry with Stewie is so amazing. So I'm like, Asia, Stewie, with Leash, like, you can win that 5-on-5 gold medal with Stewie, who you have great chemistry with now on the miss, and your bestie shoes. Like, yeah, this is agreed that they may warn us about, but it's the greed that I actually want for Team USA. So Sue needs to figure it out. Kara, figure it out. I would like to see this. I would like to see this roster come about just so Alicia's there, because now I have a pool of talent for 3-on-3. Cam Brink will be healthy, so I can have Cam back. I have Ryan Howard. Like, we'll have a roster that can go toe to toe with other countries, and I know France wants their get back. So, like, I just don't need Baby Baguette to dunk on any of us. That's it. Okay, Baby Baguette dunk on us. Gabby is coming back for her. Everybody better be ready. Stewie better get that little snitching finger ready to, like, figure out somebody's foot is on the line. But yeah, like, I think we'll be ready. But yeah, Unrivaled does everything that I think you could want a league to do for these players, and also the big thing of paying them what they're worth and giving them equity in ownership, which means even when they're not actively playing, they're still able to reap those long-term passive income benefits, which I think is really great. And it's a lesson that I want other people that aren't playing in this league, you're not playing basketball, but understand what it means to passively earn money from something that you're included or invested in. For the brands that you buy all the time, go invest in these companies. I will never forget that. Like, when I was in a marketing class in undergrad, and our professor told us there was this little old lady that he knew, and she loved 2 things: McDonald's apple pies and Coca-Cola. Like, that's just what she loved. So she would consistently just put money in those stocks, and it was like only a little bit of what she could afford, and that was it. But over time, her net worth exploded because she continued to invest in the very things she was spending her money on already. And so these women are giving their bodies, their youth, their everything, right, to the league to be able to actually, I think, says a lot and shows us a new framework of kind of what could be.
I think they're doing it completely perfect. I don't really have any notes for them because from watching it, I wish all leagues would do a better job of, like what you're mentioning, of the individuals and telling their stories. I get it. It's star-driven leagues. I completely get it. But there should be a space where you're talking about the player that may not get as much publicity, that may not get as much playing time. Or even, we know Ryan Howard is the person. That's the person over in Atlanta. But we didn't know some of the things that's being shared in Unrivaled. So even that aspect, fine, you want to be a star-driven league? Can we go deeper? Can we find out about the individual, who they are outside of that? And another thing you just said, which is, my pops would love you. I remember I was trying to get it might have been some food. It might have been food, and it might have been some sneakers, right? He said exactly that. He said, why you keep paying them? Why don't you buy some stock in McDonald's? Mind you, I'm 7. I'm like, Pops,
You're looking like, hold up, you told me we ain't even have McDonald's money at home. So what money am I investing? You told me we ain't have Big Mac money at home.
like, Pops, what you mean? You always want to get McDonald's. You always want to do this. Why don't you just buy some stock? I said, Pops, what's stock? I don't know what a stock is, but definitely of the same mindset. Like, that's a genius thing to do. If something that you like, and like you said, you don't have to have the hugest amount you're investing over time. Again, it's that the dopamine and the instant gratification. I bought this McDonald's
It,
stock. I'm not a billionaire yet.
yeah, and it's tough because money is taboo. Investing is even farther away from conversations because it's made to seem complicated, and it's not at all. Like the very simple steps in being able to open a Roth IRA or an IRA account, being able to have your money market fund there. You transfer money from your checking or savings account into that money market account. From there, you pick whatever the stock, or honestly diversify and pick an index fund. You want to keep it simple. First off, investing should be simple. It should not be complicated. Okay. I know the finance bros on the internet, they want you to think it's some super complicated, exciting thing that has fireworks going off. It's not. It's rather boring. It's the boring things are what get you to where you want to be, but they're not flashy, so no one cares about them. If you take your boring self and invest in an S&P 500 consistently, one, you're capturing all the major companies. So you love Oreos and you love Coca-Cola and you're like, well, cool, great. Everything that you buy on a consistent basis when you go grocery shopping or you buy things for yourself for the house, they're included in that. As you and everyone else keeps giving them money, you also will get money back. You may get it back in dividends. Guess what? Reinvest it back. I don't even see, we get notifications about when dividends come in. They're just reinvested back. I don't want to see it. I don't at all. But you keep it simple. And you're investing for future you. It's not something that's talked about a lot. And it seems like it's so complicated, but it's like it's not. And people will do all the due diligence in the world to figure out, how do I get a sneaker? I'm going to enter 4, 5, 6, 7 raffles because I want a Travis Scott. And it's like, cool, but you won't do one thing for future you, who, by the way, has to still eat food and have a roof over their head and all other manner of needs in the future. But, by all means, like, continue to say that you can't do X, Y, or Z, but you can find a way to take care of the want. It goes back to telling yourself no. Like, as an adult, it's okay to tell yourself no to be able to do more of what you really need to do.
Oh yeah, I could see why people get in your comments and are very disturbed and offended, and because that right there is a lot of the issue. Being able to tell yourself no, and
Or,
you
hey,
will.
if you tell them that, here's the trick, here's the thing, you probably don't know or couldn't have anticipated. Goodness knows I didn't anticipate it. If you tell individuals that you've chosen to take a step back from the consumerism they're still involved in, unbeknownst to you, you've now invalidated what they're buying, and you're somehow telling them that what they're doing is wrong just because you've chosen to take a step back. So now you're personally attacking them. And because they see themselves as the sneakers, they feel like you're not choosing them, and you're saying that like the shoe isn't worth it, so they're not worth it. Like, you had to tell me, TJ, you're invalidating their choices. I was like, what does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with me?
Hey, this is the thing that's so funny with that, because it's like you were preaching a lot of this facts, and you invest time in what you want. You want to get those sneakers, like you said, they'll get 4 or 5 raffles. They'll have a cousin stand in line for them. They'll do this. They'll get the newest tent so they can sleep outside. But hey, maybe you should invest in Foot Locker. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why are you why are you asking me to do that? Why are you asking me to think about Antonio at 55? Whoa, whoa, slow down.
the common thing now is when did we start caring about the stock of these companies, and when did we start caring about how these companies are doing in the market? I care. As a voting stockholder, I care how they're doing, because when I open my portfolio and see Nike is still the worst performing stock that I have in there, I care when they can't sustain $70 a share, and I bought you at way over $100 a share. Yes, I care. Get up, okay? Elliott Hill, get everybody in order. Get your house in order. I understand what John Donahue did, and we are moving past that. But yes, I do care. I care about the fact that as Americans, unfortunately, we are so hyper focused and arrogant on ourselves and self centered, which everybody else in the world is right. We are very self centered. So we think because we care about Jordan Retros, everybody cares about Jordan Retros. Mind you, I just watched a vlog from a creator in Paris, and they were like, yeah, some of these known boutiques don't even carry Jordans or Nikes like that. Because the prices over there probably don't care. Like, those markets don't necessarily care. It's not the same demographic. They don't have the same interest. They don't have the same taste. They don't place the same value on those things that we do here. Pairs that sell out here fit in other markets. It can be vastly different. And so it's like, oh, well, we had the best year in sneakers in 2025. I promise you their stock didn't say that. It didn't say they had the best year. It said that competitors were still taking market share. That shoes were comfortable and people value them more based on the price. Not the price that people don't like. You'll find the value based on the price. That's another thing that people don't get. Like, they'll automatically call you broke if you say that you don't want a sneaker that they want. That is the other big revelation that I found. If you pass on a sneaker, I literally got called broke the other day. I wasn't buying hype shoes anymore. I was like, damn. So could you tell my bills being fully paid and my premium gas being full? Can you tell them they didn't know? Apparently, they didn't get the memo that I was broke. But like, I'm broke because I'm choosing to not buy the thing that you're buying that you also have bought. I don't know how many times over based on how many times it's retroed, and also that tech hasn't been updated since the 80s or 90s. But because I don't find value in that anymore, and I would rather like go catch a flight or go buy something else that's more meaningful, like another camera, a travel backpack, like any number of things. You think because somebody isn't showing you they're spending money that it means that they don't have it. And like, that was my entire series on my channel, where it was, I paid resale for this sneaker. I didn't. I instead made this principal payment on my student loan on purpose to be able to show young adults, just because you don't see someone doing something visibly online doesn't mean that they don't have the means to do it. It just means they would rather spend their money in another way that is probably more beneficial to them. It was more beneficial to me when interest was frozen on these student loans and forbearance to pay off my student loan. So yes, I could have spent $21,000 on sneakers because that's what I end up aggressively paying off over that time. But it's like, no, I chose to not do that, and I'm 100% free and clear now. And so it's like, just because, again, you don't see somebody chasing every single shoe, it doesn't mean that they can't afford it. It means they're not willing to do it anymore, and their willpower is holding strong, unlike a lot of impulse shoppers.
You know what you gotta do, TJ. You gotta take out 200,000 and have the cash here. Be like, I got it. Because if you don't show the cash in your hand, TJ a brokey. She ain't got it. You know how society is now.
I got told I needed to shut my channel down, like, because I wasn't buying shoes like that. They were like, you need to shut your channel down. Maybe don't record in front of your speakers anymore. I was like, y'all do a lot of stipulations for a channel that y'all don't control, for a wallet that you don't put anything into. Like, again, Audacity, 2-for-1 special. 2-for-1 special in 2025. And it's carried over into 2026. Like, I know we saw a lot of shortages with the pandemic, but like, Audacity has never seen a shortage a day in its modern life. It is alive and well, and it's not all men, but it's always a man that makes these comments. Always. And then it's like, it's male friends that'll be like, I promise you all of us aren't like this. I'm like, I know you're not. I know you're not. That's why I will never say all men. It's not all of you. It's just some of you really validate why a lot of women are like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to do content. A lot of women don't do it for their own peace of
Sanity.
mind. Their
Yeah.
own sanity. Why they don't do
hmm
it.
I don't have to, deal with that aspect of it, but I see the comments every day. I'm like, wow, we've failed as a society with some of the stuff that y'all decide to type on those computers or those phones. We have failed as a society. I don't know if this is the same outside of America because I haven't lived anywhere else, but I wonder if they are in a better in a better place.
I'm not even sure, and it's funny because like that'll be the energy that they'll have online, right? But yet I've ran into a number of people, whether it's where I live, whether it's I've been randomly. I walked into a hotel in Chicago for an event that I was working in the city. Somebody's like, "Oh, by the way, I watched your videos. Hey, nice to meet you." In person, the energy is not that of the few loud and ignorant online. It's completely different. It's people that just show appreciation for the content, especially if like I go to a sporting event and they're like, "Hey, I watch your videos," and it's always a shock when it happens because you never think that anybody's going to recognize you when you're just out, and then it happens, and so like you have to remind yourself that like, oh, okay, like the vast majority of what goes on is positive and it's a great vibe, but it's like the few that are just going to remind you that Bush needs to answer for his crimes because we did not leave the children behind, and now we're all suffering.
Most definitely transitioning to the fourth quarter segment. All right. I am a foodie. I love to eat. So every single guest I have on, I ask a food related question. I typically, you would think I eat for four, but I just eat a lot. You don't
Okay.
see it. You don't see it in my frame, but I do eat a lot. I love to eat. For you, one place you could eat and not get tired of.
So if it's a place that's just like anywhere, I'm one of those people. I feel like I should have at this point been given like a Chipotle black card in which I don't have to pay for anything because there have been times where that was exclusively like what I was buying. Like if I didn't want to deal with food, I didn't want to deal with cooking, I didn't want to deal with anything. Because one, you can make two meals out of a Chipotle bowl and just get the chips and use that to actually eat the bowl. So I would go there incessantly, and people would be like, "I don't understand how everybody's just eating out. Easy, just work it into your budget." But I promise you, a lot of us are still eating out because the convenience may be worth it depending on your lifestyle or whatever it is that you want. So if we're talking like somewhere that I could go like anywhere, then yeah, I would definitely say um, Chipotle would be it. Like I have a local Mexican spot, like family owned, where they see me every Tuesday religiously to go in and get tacos. But like, yeah, I would say to Chipotle me all the time.
We are the same because last night I did not feel like cooking. My son was not feeling well. Babe, what we getting? Chipotle. Yes, and it
Because
was perfect
what's not
because it
happening, we not turning an eye on this burn. Like, listen, ain't a burner being turned on, this oven not being turned on, none of it.
and it was beautiful because I know every time I get Chipotle, my wife's lunch is made the next day. There go the lunch for the next day.
This is working smarter.
I absolutely love it. So I'm like, all right, I don't have to cook dinner and I don't have to cook lunch tomorrow because it's coming
Nope.
for her. So perfect. Sneaker that you regret passing on.
It's funny. I tried to think about this question, and this is going to sound very weird to people in sneakers, but I don't have any regrets about sneakers that I haven't that I passed on, and it's probably because over the past 2 years now, I've gotten rid of 140 pairs, and I have another three that I'm going to post for sale here shortly, like probably over this weekend. So one, you blink and there's a new sneaker, right? If you wait long enough, another dopamine hit is going to come with the next sneaker that's set to drop. So for me, there's no regrets on them because I haven't regretted any that I've gotten rid of. I'm just like, oh, great, cool, right? It's gone. So no, I actually don't have any regrets for shoes. If they would choose to just like, I don't even have the ones where people like beg for certain retros to be brought back, right? Like they beg, like they want the Bordeaux sevens or the Olympic sevens to be brought back. If you want to reach on back and bring like a few swoop pairs back, sure. But like I want those as like collector's items. You know, I want those like in the glass cases to be able to just look at and kind of admire as like a part of history. So like, outside of that, like no, I actually don't have any regrets, which is a lot of growth. I've come so far in not having any regrets.
Who are you predicting to win Unrivaled?
This is like very unfair. I know Chloe just dropped this whole like unrivaled class session. Well, one, she said we need to stop trying to club hop and we need to stop having 3 teams, 3 clubs that we support. I don't think I ever agreed to that, Chloe. Okay, first off. Um, so I'm gonna say I ride with the Laces because in Jackie Young I trust. Okay. So I'm riding with my Laces. We fell a little short last season. I also know to never bet against Chelsea Gray. So, and also the Mist are a very different team this year. So, as of right now, okay, I guess I'll go probability. I'll go Laces, Rose, Mist and Breeze are probably tied because the youngins are got it figured out. Noel seems to be having with them. So yeah, that's where I would rank them right now. I don't need any other club fans coming for me. None of these admins coming for me on the timeline because I love my Hive. Okay, the Roadrunners are truly all over the place. I don't need y'all coming for me. Okay, I got Ray's jersey back here, and I adore Rye, even when I know her social battery has ran out within zero point 0.2 seconds, and she just wants to go back to her room and paint and not be bothered by people. I feel you. I am there all the time. That's why I don't even go outside like that. So yeah, it's tough to pick just one. Like, and I think that's what Unrivaled kind of unveils is you have your favorite players spread out across every single team, and then you start to develop an admiration for them even more because maybe in season you're really just following your team. And so like if you're not following the Wings, you don't necessarily get to see and watch all of their players. So again, more admiration for every mini player that ends up being on these rosters, and it's really just so much fun. It's kind of like a weird reset until like when the W season starts, but who knows what'll happen based on whatever free agency will look like. We can see the most random combinations that we never suspected would happen. And then that'll really take some things up. I think like once free agency starts, hopefully we should be in the midst of chaos right now. And like we're not. So when we start to finally get CBA and we start to see some signings and it's like, oh, like I seen some people they were kind of up in arms seeing what their schedule was going to be for the season. And it's like we don't know teams yet. So it's like calm down because you may be very much so underestimating what your team is going to be or how they'll finish, before you even see what a final roster looks like. So I would just say be patient. Just be patient. Just deep breath. Okay. Just unclench your shoulders. Drink some water. Take a lap. Let it all play out. I have faith in the WNBPA. Let it play out. Just support the players in any way that they're asking you to support them. Enjoy Unrivaled. Enjoy the off season for what it is. And then when we actually get a CBA and you start seeing these signings, okay, then you can do whatever you want. If you want to freak out, then freak out. I can't freak out. Because Becky was calm, and we see what happened. So I'm gonna be calm. I'm not gonna raise my blood pressure either. I'm gonna be calm. I'm just gonna trust that Asa Wilson will get it done.
Facts. Asia Wilson get it done. And I had an episode with Doc Thompson where we were just talking about it. The free agency this year, whenever it does start, we love it in the NBA. Y'all are going to see that level of, I think, movement because you really don't know, especially with them being on the same spot and Unrivaled. It's going to be, we saw it last year. Brittany Griner ended up on the Dream. That, you can't tell me that wasn't facilitated being at Unrivaled with some conversations being had behind the scenes. Like, hey, Britt, we love for you to be in Atlanta. You can't tell me that.
Listen, ethical tampering, okay? Ethical tampering is happening. Again, as an Aces fan, we already know we get fined if we take a breath. Oh, it doesn't matter. Mark, figure out who you want. At this point, I've seen Aces fans already say they have signed Shakira Austin and Azura Stevens. They don't know how it's going to work. They just know they have signed these two women to the team. They said, Mark, you just need to be there to tell them it's cool. No one takes that seriously, but I'm just saying, okay, fans are in their minds making the moves they want to make. We did see that really massive change with BG going to Atlanta. So, like, don't be oblivious to the fact that, yes, these players are talking with each other. They form bonds together. They realize what works with their style of play by playing with other players they don't normally get to play with, and realizing where am I at in my career? What makes sense? What kind of usage do I want also based on maybe where I am in my career? Some of it can be a Jewel Lloyd. Look at how she just, shot through the roof in terms of her efficiency and value on the court once she took that pressure off of herself and she chose to take a step back and come off of the bench and be exactly what we needed. What's needed on a team, it doesn't have to be exactly what they were giving on another team. I think that is always important to keep in mind based on the firepower and the things you have. So, listen, I think we could see some wings take up. I think possibly, I think we could see like some Storm take up. What does that team look like moving forward? So yeah, those are like the two big ones where I think we could see some movement. But there will be like some blockbuster Luka signings that happen where everyone's jaw is on the floor, the timeline probably breaks, and Threads is asking what happened. So I see that happening, and I'm okay with it. Do you know why? Because Asia won't be going anywhere. So outside of that, figure it out. I don't think that Jackie would go anywhere, knowing the relationship that Asia has and the reverence she has, and we've already learned that's Becky Texas. So where is she gonna go? Absolutely nowhere. So outside of that, it's like we'll make it work every other way. But yeah, I'm gonna sit back, watch everything, just be on fire whenever all these signings happen, and be like, wow, y'all really don't care about us. Don't care about nobody's blood pressure, heart rate, none of that.
Hey, if y'all watch this show, listen to this episode, and did not catch any gems, any wisdom, any tips, any advice in this episode, you might want to get your hearing checked out. You might want to get your vision checked out. Definitely make sure you go subscribe to Talks with TJ. Check her out on Threads, TikTok, Instagram. All that will be in the description. But y'all know the vibes here at the Bench Mob ENT podcast. If you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.